Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Your magical kiss will take me just so far. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Don't leave me like this, dangling from a star. Set me all aflame and it's so pleasing. It sure would be a shame if you were only teasing. So my love, before I go, turn the lights way down low and talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Don McKeag Show, post-Florida. I'm here with my pal, Kenny Bukes. Did you miss me, Ken? It's the Don McKeag. As you know, you may call in. Our number will be placed up on the screen periodically. And I also remind you that we are on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, the Don McKeag Show, all segments are on YouTube. I watched it in Florida, Ken. I meant to tell you, 3 of my friends had it up, surprised me with it. And we lasted about 10 minutes, and I told, well, we're not going to sit here and watch me. But anyway, and we have the radio show on Saturday mornings from 11 to 1 called the Don McKeag Show. And that's on 95.1 FM Cape Cod. I am a conservative, those who don't know it, but I try to be informative and to tell the truth, and I want to hear the truth, and I try very hard to tell the truth. And I was having breakfast this morning with my good friend Carl Frymouth, that some of you, I hope, saw his appearance here on the Don McKeag Show, a dear friend. And I was telling him about what I saw. I haven't had a chance to talk to you, Kenny, is I can understand more and more why we have the problems that we have. And historically, of course, they are. This is why we're supposed to read history, we're supposed to learn from history, and we're certainly supposed to teach history, which we're not doing a very good job of in today's public education. And that's a matter of fact, because they have determined, liberals have determined what they think is important and what isn't, and their value system is now the dependent factor, not the historical past. But anyway, I was mentioning, I have a lot of very good friends from the Cape down in Florida. I was at the area, Jupiter area in Palm Beach, ran into some, and we had a wonderful time. But I was privy to several clubs, yacht clubs and golf clubs especially. Wasn't that a wonderful Masters? Oh boy, we all gathered and watched every stroke. That was terrific. And I was proud of Phil Mickelson. I think everybody was. He had a terrific run because he's of course quite a bit older than the other young guns. But it was sure exciting. And what I liked, and what I always want to keep reminding myself in my conversations here on the radio is, and all of us, is we still have a preponderance of really fine people, young and old, in this country. We have the kindest, bravest, best culture there has ever been on the face of this earth, with all its faults and all its divisions now. But again, my purpose of being on this show and on the radio is I am fighting against what I see a very, very strong movement away from the core values that gave me and my generation what we've had. And those core values came from World War II. They came from a country that was asked to sacrifice, and did. Wealthy, poor. They're very rich or the very poor. There was still gas rationing for everyone. There was food rationing. They were giving only small amounts of certain things out to the public. Gasoline was at a premium because of the war effort. But instead of dividing people, as it does now, because of the media, it pulled everyone together. I mentioned to you I came from Weymouth and grew up with my neighbors. We all were on one small street, and the other side of it was a new street, South Weymouth, and our house was one of, I think, about 14 on the street, and the other side of the street was all farmland at first. It's all got houses on it now, but everyone had victory gardens during World War II. And I don't mean everyone, but most people did, and they grew their own vegetables. It was all part of working together. What we see now are people pulling apart, and we have a worship today of entertainment and free time. People evaluate their lives today, I believe anyway, and I watch it, with how much money they have, you know, what clubs they're in, how, you know, where their kids are going to college, what they drive, where they, and again, how much time they have to do absolutely nothing if that's what they choose. And again, idle hands are the devil's workshop, and I don't care. And this is not a criticism, by the way, of people who are successful and have a lot of money. I lived that life at one time, and I enjoyed the devil out of it. But I also know that as a human being, I wasn't as concerned with the future generations or the future in anything when I was living the good life. So I just came up with this idea that I'm just throwing it out there about, we all know that, you know, affluence is a very dangerous thing. Too much of anything is not good for you, including too much free time, including too much money, including too many things. And I think it really is part of the reason that we have this apathy on voting and on who is representing us. As long as individual lives aren't affected negatively, you know, as long as they've still got their pensions and they're able to live pretty good lives and travel, let's not get too excited. And it's short-sighted, to say the least. Other cultures historically have shown what has happened when we do that. And dishonesty and greed and all the 7 deadly sins I talk about are running amok because we have gone anti-Christian. Oh, and you have to be kind of, I'll tell you something else last night. I just got back last night. I was pooped and flew in and watched a movie before I went to bed. And it was Barabbas, Ken. Do you remember that? With the Anthony Quinn.
Love that movie.
What a great movie. And I was going to go to bed, and I intended to go to bed early, and I watched the whole thing. And once again, in the previews, of course, that's Turner Network.
Yes.
And they have that, what's his name, Robert, somebody that gives the intro and so forth. And he mentioned that in the 50s and 60s, there was a huge preponderance of Christian movies, you know. There was the Greatest Story Ever Told and Ben-Hur and all of these things based on biblical, not just Christian, Jewish, you know. Again, foundation of America.
That's right.
We've got people today who, you know, don't want to pay attention because that's, of course, offensive to other religions. Well, baloney. This was, again, post-World War II. If you ever had young people doing and saying the things about this country post-World War II, what do you think would have happened? I'll tell you right now, there'd been some physical damage and they'd have been arrested. Today, it's now free speech, you know. Do whatever and of course, diminish the Christian religion upon which this country was founded. Not as the only religion, but founded as the basic, fundamental value system provided by the Christian religion. Simple.
Very.
Simple as that.
Very simple.
And it's simple to say that from my standpoint because it's the truth, you see. Oh, but well, why should anybody, you know, they want people coming in here illegally and giving them under free speech. They want them to be able to do anything they want to do, even if it's contrary or dangerous to the future of this Christian-oriented culture. And of course, then we have the atheists and the agnostics that poo-poo Christ, poo-poo the whole story of Christ. And I don't deny them the right to speak that way, but I sure as heck deny them to be treated as equals, as if they have an equal say in a country that gave them what they have right now based on those fundamental values. Right? I mean, is that not right to the point? None of this, your opinion, my opinion. This is it. These people today who are taking advantage of the wonderful things we have in this country wouldn't have those advantages and those conditions if it weren't for the value system that our founding fathers brought to this country. Simple as that. And that's why we were a melting pot. We were a melting pot of people who came to this country and followed that value system. They didn't come to this country and want to change things, and neither did the leadership. They could never, ever be elected. Today, you've got too many, oh, give them a chance. Oh, try this or try that. And sorry, I can't go along with it. I was listening to the other day that we're talking about dishonesty and how lying in certain areas, especially politicians. Imagine politicians who make decisions that are life-changing. Folks, remember this. Your politicians at every level affect your life, first and foremost in your tax bill. But if you're not making more money, enough money to make up for that additional cost of operating your household, how long can you take it? They don't care. And as I keep pointing out, government institutions, public employees, they can have huge capital expenditures and then give themselves a raise besides, which again affects, sure, they pay taxes, I understand that. But the insanity is to not recognize, for instance, in Plymouth and the Cape Cod where I was, and of course my age now, is we have a skewed, very positively skewed population of retirees. Elderly, people who need extra health care, and when you force them, and they do, these governments today, town, state, and federal, force the older people to unload their houses. They force them. Now, of course, if you don't work, then liberal policy is give them their house. Give them a place to live. We still have thousands in this state who are living in houses that we pay their mortgage and the property's in their name.
That's right.
Now you tell me how that's just. Throw out someone who's educated his or her children in your town. I don't care, we'll talk about Plymouth, Barnstable, Weymouth. Oh, you can't afford it? Well, just sell the house. Or do a reverse mortgage. But somebody who refuses to work. Now, we're not talking about those who can't work. We're not talking about the family where the father or the mother has a heart attack or has cancer. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not going to be backed into that liberal feel-good commentary. But we now have a system that is so broken. And it lies. They do not tell the truth. And they create more jobs for themselves. And that's what's happened with welfare, with food stamps, everything. Now, what I was listening to about the lying, and I thought, isn't this interesting? Brian Williams. Now, he's definitely been, right? I mean, is anybody out? I'm sure, again, liberal Democrats would still think he should be on because, after all, doesn't matter to them. If they like the person, vote for him, let him be on the news. But the difference is he isn't on the news. Excuse me.
I read something on the internet about that the other day, and
he'll show up again, though.
Another news anchor said that it was worse. What he did, what Brian Williams did, was worse than we'll ever know.
Oh, of course it was.
Because the trickle down, he did more things to cover up those things.
Yeah.
Really bad situation.
Well,
and people
now
look up to him for the news.
Oh, sure. Well, but that's one thing, Kenny. Now, you're feeding perfectly into it. You just gave what I was going to say. Now, it has even more meaning when you say the trickle down. There's that age-old expression, a lie needs 1,000 legs.
Yes, it does.
The truth stands on
its own.
but one.
Right.
We've forgotten that too. But what I wanted to point out, why I keep jamming it at liberal Democrats, friends of mine, who will not change. I guarantee right now they will be out there finding whatever mold there is on any Republican candidate. Oh, he like Mitt Romney, put his dog on the hood of the car. I mean, they will do anything now, not to demean the other. See, a lot of people don't get it. They're not out there to demean the candidate. That's obvious. But what they're really doing is allowing these Democrats to continue to vote for flawed candidates of their own, you see?
Yes.
Oh, he's bad, or she's done this, or it could be minor. But that's how absolutely out of control it's become. But anyway, imagine a country. How far can we go when you have Hillary Clinton? I keep pounding away in this. Bill and Hillary Clinton were declared when Bill Clinton was president, his first term. We all know the story of him lying about his sex life and about this Jennifer Flowers. But women, that doesn't matter. He's a Democrat, right, girls? Ladies? Yeah. If that was a Republican, you'd be out there holding flags and spitting on him. But that being said, in his first term, William Safire, highly thought of, I repeat it, and I'm going to keep repeating it, he called the Clintons pathological liars. And they are. And they will always be. It is part of the flaw of their character. They are liars. They cannot be cured. Now, we have a newsman, and you say, Ken, yeah, there's no question, that was only the tip of his iceberg. But he's a newsman. Now, he can give people the wrong news, and that's a serious thing. But what's more serious, a newsman or a president or a governor or a senator? We have them by the dozens that lie through their teeth and keep their jobs. They never get fired.
The problem I have with the whole thing, Donnie, is people listen to the news. They sit around the TV set in droves in the television, and they're listening to the news. And because a certain so-and-so on the newscast who's been there for 5 years said it's true, then it must be true.
Well, that's why they have to fire them when they're lying. But look at Dan Rather.
There's the
He's
outcry.
But he was a habitual liar.
Yes, he was.
Mike Wallace, the darling of Martha's Vineyard. He set up General Motors on that 60 Minutes. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember it.
And it was found out he set up so that the car on a side contact accident, the car blew up. And they ran it 4 times, in pre-telecast, until they finally got it to do what they wanted it to. And that was they had to salt the car so it would blow. It would do what they wanted it to.
Right.
And they were sued. But again, what does the media do? Because that is the media. They cover their own backsides. And that went away.
They pull their own Watergate.
He should have been fired, and they pull it in Watergate. They pull it on, and I know we can't change it other than to point it out. That's what bothers me. And I'm here to try to remind people, only when you're thinking about it. You're never going to get change. Here you got a guy in that White House that you gave a chance, and it's change. Remember, that was his whole campaign. Change.
What's changed?
Yeah, it's changed all right for the worse. Now you hear AARP and all these other organizations that were propping up Obama and the rest of the liberal Democrats, which they continue to do. Now they're coming up with articles on interviewing different doctors, how to correct and improve our health care. They always have the cart before the horse, these birds, you know?
Speaking of
Where
healthcare,
were they before all of this? There were over half the population didn't want that Obamacare, but they jammed it down their teeth, and thanks to AARP, who supported it.
went to the doctor's office
Yes.
today. Well care, nothing to be concerned about. Was in the office, and the person at the desk says they have this, what they call a pathway that
Yeah.
they want you to follow. Well, I voiced my opinion and said, I don't want to do it because it's Big Brother wanting to watch my medical treatment and watch all of my stuff. And she said to me, right to my face, in front of my wife, who heard the same thing, we are penalized if we don't get you to participate.
Yeah, well, that's
I
right.
said, so what's in it?
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you repeal Obamacare? And she looked me dead in the eye and said, that's the only way this problem is going to stop. They're
Yep.
penalizing the doctor's office
Yep.
for not getting you to look at your files online.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
And, as you know, one of the things that the liberals, who, again, this is why lawyers vote Democrat, because liberals love laws because it makes them look good. But think about how lawyers have gotten more laws passed, and they've taken it out on the health care. Now, I'm not saying there haven't been terrible accidents causing deaths in the medical practice. And they should be punished. There's no question about anything. Just like police officers that shoot anyone.
Right.
But that's not what we're saying. We're letting liberals dictate the rules of the game. But I'm just saying that when you come to the health care costs, anyone with a half a brain knows in the medical profession, they're performing millions of tests on patients that they know should not be done. And yet if they don't and anything happens, they're going to be sued. The lawyers will take the fact they didn't run this particular test, even though 99% of the time it would be unnecessary. You know what I'm saying?
I know very well what you're
And
saying.
again, I'm not totally bashing lawyers, although I am, because I love that expression, 99% of the lawyer's behavior is a cover-up for the 1% that does the right thing.
Oh, Tony.
But anyway, so and I'm glad you mentioned the health care. We have to lighten up once in a while, but I love this. I got this one. I'm going to do it in the radio too Saturday. An old geezer who had been a retired farmer for a long time became very bored and decided to open up a medical clinic. He put a sign up outside and said, Dr. Geezer's Clinic. Get your treatment for $500. If not cured, get back $1,000. Now, down the street, the town doctor, Dr. Young, who was positive that this old geezer didn't know beans about medicine, thought this would be a great opportunity to get $1,000. So he went down to Dr. Geezer's clinic, and this is what transpired. Dr. Young says, Dr. Geezer, I have lost all the taste buds. I can't taste anything in my mouth. Can you please help me? Dr. Geezer looks to his nurse and said, "Nurse, please bring medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops in Dr. Young's mouth." She does, and Dr. Young goes, "Ah, that's gasoline." Dr. Geezer says, "Congratulations, you've got your taste back. That'll be $500. Dr. Young gets annoyed and goes back after a couple of days, figuring he's going to recover his money. So Dr. Young says, "Now listen, Dr. Geezer, this is serious. I've lost my memory. I cannot remember anything." Dr. Geezer says, "Nurse, please bring medicine from box 22 and put 3 drops in the patient's mouth." Dr. Young says, "Oh, no, you don't. That's gasoline." Dr. Geezer says, "Congratulations. You've got your memory back. That'll be $500. Dr. Young has now lost $1,000, and he leaves pretty upset. But after several more days, he can't stand it, and back he comes. Dr. Young, he says to Dr. Geezer, Dr. Young says, "My eyesight has become weak, and now I can hardly see, Dr. Geezer. Can you do anything for me?" Dr. Geezer says, "Well, I don't have any medicine for that, so here's your $1,000 back." Dr. Young says, "But this is only $500. Dr. Geezer says, "Congratulations, you got your vision back. That'll be $500. The moral of the story is, just because you're young doesn't mean that you can outsmart an old geezer.
Very good, Donnie.
Is that cute?
Yes.
But here again, this is the situation of lying in the medical profession and insurance companies. When we talk about the things that are known about where you can control costs, because of lawyers, politicians, in some cases the medical profession,
Yes.
they won't do it because it's going to cost them money. Instead of doing the right thing, they will protect and preserve the dishonest thing. And that's what I'm saying is catching up to, sadly, to the country. And I keep saying, my God, I've lied. I mean, I've tried not to, but I mean, growing up for whatever reasons, and mostly for your own, either protection or coverage or whatever. But I've tried very hard in my adult life to be truthful, and most people, I think, do try to do that. But I mean, when it becomes a way of life, as it has, and as I keep saying, the worst thing I ever hear, to me, 3 of the most dangerous, or 4, is, "Oh, they all do it." 4 words. "Oh, they all do it." I don't care if it's about somebody's sex life or business. No, they don't all do it. And when any one of you uses that expression, you are condoning what's wrong out there in this country. But getting back to the costs of health care, we all know, I just mentioned tests that are being done that shouldn't be, period, costing millions, if not billions. It's been going on for years and years. The other thing, of course, is insurance companies. Insurance companies who do not follow up on accidents, follow up on perceived, and this, of course, is in the public sector, too, where we have people getting medical leaves by the hundreds of thousands because they have no pride. Every now and then they'll catch one, and you'll see it, but there's no pride. How about a man that's faking a back injury and he's out there doing other things? What's his wife say to him? Does he have her respect? What's his mother and father? What do her kids think? His kids. Doesn't matter, I guess, huh? Would matter to me. But you know why the insurance companies, and I'm not sticking up for insurance companies, the biggest reason they don't sue is because the lawyer's fees are greater than the settlement. Now, isn't that a wonderful system? Isn't that a great system? Now, this has been going on, right, Kenny? This has been going on for years. Now, did President Obama or any of these feel-good health care, did they address that?
No, they have no plans on addressing it either.
Look at the towns. I've said this for 100 years. Of course, you're labeled as, oh, you don't care. You know, that's what a conservative's like. We need to start attacking, not just attacking waste and overpriced costs. But a friend of mine I just talked about, they're buying 3 helicopters, the state police.
Your friend is buying 3 helicopters?
No, I said they are. The state police are buying.
Oh.
I talked to a friend about it.
Oh, sorry.
$8 million per helicopter.
Wow.
The state police. 3. Deval Patrick bought 3 before he left, and then I guess they bought 2 more. This is under the guise of, again, security, homeland security. Now, I'm for homeland security, but let me tell you, you look at, again, the purchase of vehicles, the purchase of other things, purchase of equipment by towns. You look at how they build buildings. They don't try to build what they need. They build what they want. And the sky's the limit because the taxpayer they could give a less care about, especially the politician. You have a governor, you Democrats, that you re-elected, Patrick, who should be in jail for not conforming to his oath of office, which was to have a balanced budget. But it doesn't matter to you. Doesn't matter to you. So, again, you're part of the problem. And that is another part of the things that I point out. You can say that guy's a lunatic. Now, did you see, by the way, Kenny, I brought this in the parade on the salary survey. Now, you know, this parade, this is another, again, and I know it's a broken record, but it's controlled by liberals like the AARP. It's all this feel-good handshaking. Oh, aren't we sweet?
That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah. And look at it's so popular. Look at the size. Remember, it used to be a full-size
Yeah, it used
magazine.
to be a pictorial magazine,
Yeah.
actually. It was very nice to read then.
It was. But anyway, so every year they do this, and they list the kind of money that different ones make. And it always, of course, does to people like me, and even to the average liberal sometimes, it makes you look and see how our value system is reflected in this, how these people are paid. I mentioned we're just entertainment worshipers. Every time I hear a movie star or an athlete belittle someone in the private sector for making too much money, I have to laugh as if they aren't out of their minds and their salaries are insanity. Well, here on the top here, we've got Floyd Mayweather Jr., 38 years old. Now this is annual salary, Kenny. He makes $105 million estimated.
105 million?
105 million. Now, he's probably worth it because he gets his head whacked around.
Well, I wonder if you can remember with all the concussions he's had.
I know. Louis Perry, 54, security company president, 200 grand. Carolyn Harper, 56, electric car battery technician. She makes $30,670.
Yeah, she's doing her thing for green.
Yep. Scott Kelly, 51, an astronaut. He makes $141,715.
Out of this world. Unbelievable.
Stephanie Marks Sawyer, 44. She's a stay-at-home mom and makes $0. Now, this is the kind of thing that always gets my attention. You know, this is that. She's not paying. Liberals, what do you think we should do? If somebody chooses to stay home, let's give her 40 grand? Do you get that?
It's going to come to that anyways.
Yeah. If they stay home, you know, well, that would be fine if you laid off teachers then, but that'll never happen.
But the battery technician is not going to make out. The battery technician...
No, she gets up and goes to work.
She gets up and goes
Somebody
to work.
chooses to stay home, and it's a poor soul. She's making zero.
It's not right, Donnie. It's not
But,
right.
you know, Dr. Seuss, his estate, children's author. Remember, he's the one that, wasn't it, after 25 years said he was wrong?
Yes.
He's the one that all the ladies, they couldn't figure their mother knew how to bring them up, but the girls, my age, they had to read a book written by a man to learn how to bring their kids up.
Wasn't that Dr. Spock?
I'm sorry, that was Dr. Spock. Dr. Seuss is I stand correct. See, that's what I mean. Thank you, Kenny.
Well, I'm not here to...
No, I want that. Okay, here we have Jesse Dixie, 38 years old, school bus driver, $21,000.
There's somebody that's working hard for their money.
There's somebody that should be making more money
A lot more money.
than some of the teachers. How's that, teachers?
I can't go there.
Well, I can go there.
Okay.
He's got probably more responsibility. Harper Lee, a great author. What was Harper Lee best known for?
You got me on that, Donnie. I know a lot, but
Great movies starring... okay, there goes the mind. Oh, my word.
So I could have faked my way through it?
Oh, no. What the devil?
Woman and
Mockingbird, To Kill a Mockingbird. Gregory
Alfred
Peck.
Hitchcock?
No, Gregory Peck. Yeah, well, Hitchcock might have directed.
Produced it.
But remember, she wrote that story. Anyway, she's an author, $4 million estimated. She's 88. But again, this is all based on sales. You know, not every author makes that. And I don't know what, see, I question, I just have such a cynical look.
Well, when
You know, on the one hand, this poor those woman that's staying home with her kids is making nothing. And here's Harper Lee, a writer, and she's making, $4 million a year, by the way.
maybe you'll make that
Maybe
much
my book, yeah.
when your book comes out.
Wouldn't that be nice? You think I'd change if I became a millionaire
I don't
again?
know. You probably wouldn't do this bit anymore.
I probably wouldn't. Scott Walker, Republican governor of Wisconsin, makes $144,423. Well, you see what I'm coming up to. Matt Megahead Stonick, 22. He's a competition or competitive eater. This guy goes all over the country and chows all this stuff down.
The hot dog guy.
Yeah, he makes $33,850 a year for eating and throwing up.
Wow. God bless him.
John Hamm, 44. I always miss that. That's that madman.
Yes.
An actor. He makes $10 million estimated per year. Is that insane? Per year.
There's no justice here.
David, it's the value system, and these are the people that pay him based on what they get from corporate America for advertising, and we've got who I'm coming up to blaming corporate advertising, but she has no problem taking the dough. Anyway, David Kunko, 40 years old, a police officer, doesn't say where, $56,000.
He earns every penny of it.
He earns every penny, but again, does it also count his detail money?
No.
Okay.
Doesn't.
And that's dishonest. That's what I have to say. Demetria Johnson, 52, a human resource director, $45,000. Here's my man, Toby Keith. I saw 3 bumper stickers down in Florida. Toby Keith for president. You know, he's the conservative country music guy. He makes $65 million a year. Insane, but again, he sells records. And then the last one on the page is our own Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, God, you had to go there.
65 years old, U.S. Senator, Democrat, Massachusetts, $174,000.
Do you
Now-
think Ted is rolling over in his grave right about
Oh,
now?
no, he isn't.
No?
No, he's not a... But the reason she's on, now, of all the senators, she's only a 1 year. That's to give her exposure. There's no question, okay? No question about it. And I just about guarantee, I don't have it, but she is still on a retainer, I believe I read quite a while, from Harvard. So I'd love to know, in all of these politicians, again, heaven forbid you let the public know the truth, you see, especially when you're protecting your, your power in our Congress. But I would say she was making $360, and I'm just about positive that she is going to. She's still being paid by Harvard a good portion of her former salary. They call it retaining, I believe.
Yeah, and she's getting her pension also. I heard
Well,
something.
and a pension, of course.
I heard something
yeah.
about that while you were away.
And as I continue to remind people on a regular basis, especially public employees that have such a grand time, not only diminishing our country, our capitalistic system, I'm talking to educators now. But they obviously also show their ignorance as to where their pensions come from. You can hate corporate America all you like, but you better darn well hope the town of Plymouth, the town of Barnstable, the town of Weymouth, the town of Carver, any one of them, that town portfolio of public employee pension funds has IBM, ExxonMobil, Halliburton, and the rest of them that you love to demean. I'll just tell you to stick that in your ear. See, I love to do this because it's the truth, and they can't stand it. I'm not saying that I'm very critical of corporate America, some of it, but do you ever watch the PBS, Kenny, and watch the the so-called nonprofits, public fund, and you see who sponsors?
I follow.
See who sponsors?
I follow that.
And you see
very
the
carefully.
millions that are given.
Tons.
You see the millions that corporate America gives to libraries. How come that's totally forgotten in the media? Because they want us to dislike wealthy people. I keep saying wealthy people have got to stand up and stop being used by this media and by the towns in many cases, who just think nothing of constantly raising waterfront property and all the little people in their other houses, they just get a big kick out of that. Oh yeah, they should be paying more. They're making too much money. But they're never making too much money themselves. They're never overpaid. You ever notice that?
I think that when it comes to PBS, they don't want you to know who and what, simply because if you knew who and what and how much,
Yeah.
you wouldn't put your money up when it comes
there's no
time for the
question.
auction. You
Oh, you're
wouldn't
absolutely.
bother
Oh,
getting
you're
involved.
absolutely right.
And that's
but
why they
again,
don't
the little
tell
old
us.
ladies, everybody just sits back and thinks it's all. And they make it look. And you notice, and I know Ron Brown, good guy from the Cape. He was on the radio down there before I was, and then during the time. But they don't tell you how much they pay these individuals that do the announcing. And they don't tell you how much money that we already contributed. They come out and say that this is, no funds. It's all done by private. It's not so.
No, it's not true.
And that's one of the things the Republican platform wanted to do, was to look at some of these organizations that are beautifully funded, self-funded, that are a sham. And like I said, when you take the Salvation Army, the head of the Salvation Army, I believe, gets $20,000 plus health care. I think it's the biggest organization of its kind in the world. And yet the head of the American Red Cross gets $1.7 million salary plus a limo, plus health care. The president of United Way makes over $1 million plus bonuses for charities. And that's perfectly okay. But Mitt Romney runs for president. Again, it's a Republican and Democrat thing. Nobody said a word about John Kennedy's, who I loved, father's money and how much money. It did come out about how much money he was spending, but the press didn't treat it as a nasty thing. But Mitt Romney running for president isn't supposed to have so many millions of dollars. But it's okay for a nitwit that's on a TV show to be making $10 million annually, and then that guy Kutchner, I keep mentioning him, I can't stand him, with the dimple and he's in that TV show, 1.5 Men or something. He gets $800,000 per episode, Kenny, to do a TV show.
The guy he replaced was getting $1 million an episode.
Charlie Sheen. He did a better job too. I watched it every now and then. But again, and people forget what an actor does. Wouldn't you like here? If we kept screwing up and starting over again, if they haven't already shut the show off.
No, yes.
If they haven't shut the show off already, who shot the sheriff? Remember we should play Who Shot the Sheriff. But I mean, it's perfectly okay. They just say, and like these athletes, we got 3 guys in the Red Sox now that are hurt. Now, I don't know what's in their contract, but I mean, you sign a guy from Cuba or Puerto Rico or something, $40 million. He hasn't thrown a pitch, swung a bat. Now he has. Nobody says a word.
They put the money on us, though. The ticket prices don't go down; they go up.
Hey, I talked to. Guess what the beer prices are in Fenway Park? They're the highest ticket. So are the Patriots. They're the highest ticket in professional sports.
I believe they're getting $10 a beer.
That's what he told me. Yeah. I think 12. Now, and the public takes it. Are you kidding? And you know what? I'll bet you they do. See, because they're cute with the PR man. I should have been a PR man, except I can't stand the dishonesty of it. They probably say, well, if we keep it up high enough, they won't drink so much. Can't you hear them saying that?
Well,
the reason we've got the price up there is to make sure it's too expensive for kids. And there's just a little bit of legitimacy there, see. But the bottom line is they're going to get the beer drinkers drinking whatever price they charge them. Because they don't care what they pay.
You can figure with a family of 4 going to a ball game and getting good seats, it's going to be in excess of $500 for the day.
Oh.
In excess.
Parking, everything. I mean, it's just
outrageous.
Well, let's look at a couple of others here that we'll just they have just pick out a couple. Jennifer Lawrence, 24 years old. She's an actress.
Very pretty girl.
Yeah, but $34 million a year. And she, of course, will, like the other movie people tend to, they will make statements about politics. They always tend to be liberals now, of course, because liberals love to spend our money. And, of course, the movie people, they're making so damn much money, they don't. They have a guilt trip, I believe, too, because they know they're making way too much money. So now they're always there for the poor. They're not there with their salaries for the poor. By the way, they mentioned Al Gore. Talk about a phony, huh? There's Al Gore.
The planet has a fever.
Yeah, the planet has a fever.
Improve it by
He's made millions. He flies all over the world, and he looks like he's put on about 120 pounds. He ain't going to be running for president, thank God. But again, they'll have somebody worse.
He's eating a lot of the Clinton McDonald's sandwiches.
Here's a guy, James LaMantia, 61 years old, Department of Defense, U.S. Army civil servant, chief. He's only making $80,000. But here's what he did. He once gave money to an employee struggling to pay bills, and feed a family simply a family simply because it was the right thing to do. See, this is what I mean about those good people.
There's a lot of those people.
Oh, there are.
A lot of them.
Well, yeah, here's Cindy Honeycutt, 54 years old, Norman, Oklahoma. She's a Salvation Army case manager. Didn't even see that. She makes $22,750.
Donnie, I'd just like to remind everybody to make sure they tune into your radio show at WXTK 95.1
Correctamonte
FM on Saturdays from 11 to 1, the fastest 2 hours in radio.
Fastest 2 hours in radio.
And they can see you here live on Thursdays from 6 to 7, and then you repeat 3 more times. One of those times is 11 o'clock at night.
11 o'clock
what
at night.
Would that be?
That would be
Donnie?
Monday.
Very good.
See that?
Very good.
Now, the other thing is, we instead of the bewitching hour, we could be called the bitching hour, but of course that might be offensive, huh? I have to take that word back.
Donnie, you got 8 minutes left. I'm going to go
Well, I
back
think
in
I've
there.
got, listen to this, I think I've got this time to do this because
right.
this we're going to do another time. This is a church service in 2015. This is fabulous, Kenny. I want you to hear this.
I'll sit in the booth and listen.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
All right. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is frightening, but it's going to come across as funny. To me, an old fogey, this is really funny, frightening. In fact, it's not even funny. Maybe it's because I don't do all these things. A church service in the year 2015, which we're in, by the way. So they're already projecting that this will be done this year. The pastor, praise the Lord. The congregation, hallelujah, hallelujah. The pastor says, will everyone please turn on their tablet, PC, iPad, smartphone, and Kindle Bibles to 1 Corinthians 13:13, and please switch on your Bluetooth to download the sermon. There's a pause. Now let us pray, committing this week into God's hands. Open your apps, Twitter and Facebook, and chat with God. Silence. As we take our Sunday tithes and offerings, please have your credit and debit cards ready. You can log on to the church Wi-Fi using the password Lord909887. The ushers will circulate mobile card swipe machines among the worshipers. Those who prefer to make electronic fund transfers are directed to computers and laptops at the rear of the church. Now, those who prefer to use iPads can open them. Those who prefer telephone banking, take out your cell phones to transfer your contributions to the church account. The holy atmosphere of the church becomes truly electrified as all the smartphones, iPads, PCs, and laptops beep and flicker. Final blessing and closing arguments. This week's ministry cell meetings will be held on the various Facebook group pages where the usual group chatting takes place. Please log in and don't miss out. Thursday's Bible study will be held live on Skype at 1900 hours GMT. Please don't miss out. You can follow your pastor on Twitter this weekend for counseling and prayers. God bless and have a nice day. Is that possible, do you think, Kenny?
I do believe so, Donnie.
And that is more truth than fiction. Today, I saw it in Florida. People are my age. They're walking down the street, and that's all they seem to be doing. It's unbelievable. It is really unbelievable. And it'll get into church. Some of these things are really, I mean, as I said, it's humorous, but is it? Where are we going with this? This is early on, by the way. What's it going to be in 10 years? I mean, what frightens me is they call this a church service in 2015. We've only got another, what, 7 months left in this year. Now let us pray, committing this week into God's hands. Open your apps, Twitter and Facebook, and chat with God. It isn't funny. I'm sorry. It is really something. Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed some of this, if nothing else. And I know I get very carried away because I care for everybody. And I don't dislike anyone's political, well, I do. I dislike people's politics who don't change according to when they hear facts and when they see things that just aren't right. And when they know that the people that they're supporting are not doing the job that they elected them for. And to stick with your own party just for the sake of doing that when you see things that are affecting your children, your grandchildren, as well as yourself, then we're continuing on the slippery slope. Yes, but it is what it is, and so I get the biggest kick out of how some people look at, my ending here, I won't be able to finish it, but my favorite poem again, Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait, not be tired of waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, that's the big one. If you can think and not make thoughts your aims, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them back up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and ride it on one turn of pitch and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Rudyard Kipling, over 100 years ago, in the poem, If. Thanks very much for listening. God bless. Have a good weekend, and God willing, we'll be back next Thursday. Thank you, my good man, Kenny Bukes. And thank you, Plymouth. Have a good night.